face. And I'm going to have them sing that again. I want us to lift our hands. And I want us to take that power that we have been given. He said, I give you power over all the powers of the enemy. He said, I give you the power to tread upon serpents. I give you power to drink any deadly thing and it won't harm you. I give you power to cast out demons. I give you power to overcome. If we have that power, I want us to say, sing that again. Lift our hands this morning. And I want us to take authority over the very thing that the devil is fighting us with. The very thing that you are battling. Don't include a bunch of other stuff with it, but I want you to take that one thing and target it this morning, and I want you to take power over that one thing that is trying to destroy you, and we're going to stand in victory this morning that God is going to bring peace. He's going to come through. Brother John will be singing again. Lift our hands up. Church, lift our hands up. Well, I'll tell you what, God is good. I'm going to use two scriptures this morning, and I just want to share some things with you. I was thinking, as God began to give you this morning, this week, now that if you walk into the bank, they ask you who you are, and you say, I am so-and-so. They are going to look at you and say, I need some ID. But no, I am so-and-so. You might be so-and-so, but we want to see some ID. And you can stand there all day long, and eventually they're going to call security, the police, they're going to escort you off the property. That's right. Because you won't prove who you are. Right. Huh? But I'm going to talk to you about a man. That was his response to who he was. He didn't give you any ID. He didn't give you any explanation. He just told you who he was. And we find in Exodus, and we read a couple verses and then share some other things with you. Exodus, the 3rd chapter, and the 13th and 14th verses. I don't care, Brother John, if you've been going to the same bank and the same teller for years. You walk in there and you say, I want to withdraw some money. And you say, I'm John Kell. She's going to look at you and say, I need some ID. Right. I need some ID. Well, God doesn't need any ID. I said, God doesn't need to identify himself. Amen. He is who he is. Amen. And he says, and Moses said to God, behold, when I come to the Israelites and say to them, the God of your fathers has sent me to you, and they say to me, what is his name? What shall I say to them? And God said to Moses, I am who I am. God said, tell them, I am who I am. And you tell them what I am. Huh? We a lot of times want to tell people who God is, but we don't want to tell them what he is. I said, we want to tell him who he is, but we won't tell him what he is. And he said, and I will be what I will be. Huh? God says, I will be what I'm going to take what he's saying is, whatever I have told you that I am, I will be. I don't need to prove myself. I don't need to try to give you some great explanation. But he said, I am who I am, and I will be what I will be. And he said, ye shall say this to the Israelites, I am has sent me to you. We know who God is. Everyone here agree you know who God is. You know what he is. But I want you to know something. I want you to know this. I want to ask you this morning, what is he to you? I said, what is God to you? We know what God is to us. I said, we know what God is to us. But I want to ask you, what is he to you? Here's some different explanations of God. He said, I am God Almighty. I said, he says he is God Almighty. Is he Almighty in your life? Is he Almighty in your life? In the things that you face and the places that you go? Is he Almighty? Is he greater than your imagination? Is he greater than your ideas? Is he greater than what you can decide or what you come up with? I'm asking you. God tells us, I am Almighty. But I want you to know we need to realize that not only is he Almighty to us, but we need to realize how Almighty that he is. Amen. We face things that come our way, problems come our way. He is Almighty. And then he says, I am the God of Abraham. I am in the very beginning. I I was God to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and I will be your God. The greatest men in the Old Testament, I said the greatest men in the Old Testament, he said, I am their God. If he was Abraham's God, if he was Isaac's God, if he was Jacob's God, then is he your God? I said, is he your God? Oh yeah, he's my God. But do you believe that he is your God? Do you act like he is your God? Do you put him first in your life like he is your God? He said, I'm their God, but he's also saying, I am your God. I am your God. I am your King of Kings. I am your Lord of Lords. I am everything to you. But do you see me as that way? Amen. See, it's not about who God is. It's about what he is and who he is to us. When my grandkids got there the other night, Thursday night, I met them to go to dinner. And I got out of the truck, and the little one, he comes running around the corner of that truck. And he said, Grandpa! Why? He recognized me as who I was to him. Amen. I am not daddy to him. I am not Leonard to him. I'm going to tell you a couple of names of them girls, Calvin, but not him. He calls me Grandpa. Amen. Well, I'll tell you one of them, about 6 years ago, when they were pretty young, they were coming down, and my daughter was on speakerphone, and the oldest one was about 7 years old, maybe 8, and she began to put letters together, and so my daughter's on speakerphone, and the oldest granddaughter said, "Who are you talking to?" She says, "I'm talking to Grandpa." "Grandpa Grammer?" "Yeah." "Oh, you're talking to Gigi." 9 years now. To the girls, I'm Gigi. And I can't let it stop. But he knows me as Grandpa. Amen. And if you want to get an argument started, those 3 girls can start in on him and say, "No, that's Gigi." And he will argue and he will get mad and he will finally just say, "No, that's Grandpa." Why? Because he knows me as who I am. Are we that so well acquainted with God that we know that God is God and God will never change, that God is here, he's in our lives, he's with us daily, and he is God. Then he said, I am the God of who I am. Amen. He said, I'm the God of who I am. I know who I am. I created this world. I created it. I spoke it into existence. I created man. I breathed life into their bodies. I created you on the day that you were born. It wasn't the slap on the bottom that caused you to breathe. It was the breath of God that flowed through your lungs. He said, I am the God of who I am. I know who I am, and God desires for His church to know who He is. Amen. To understand who He is and live in that they know who He is. He said, I am who I am, and I'm no one else. I know who I am. I have had people tell me, you need to do this, you should do that. No. If I did all those things, then nobody would know who I was. Huh? Every one of you has a distinct personality. Every one of you has a distinct way of doing things. You have a talk. You have a walk. Everything about you is personally distinctive. Amen. And everybody knows you, Jan, as who you are. That's right. They know Jan. I know Jan. I won't say that. I know Jan. as a real character. She is a jokester. Huh? She's a jokester. But she's also a very loving and kind person. She's a caring person. She loves God. I know this. Now, for you to take away her jokester, you to take away her personality, you take away that love that she has, and when people see her, they would only recognize her by her face. They would not know her for who she was.
That's right.
Is this making any sense? Yeah. You see, God has a distinctive personality. And he said, I am that person. I was that person when the world was void. I was that person when I was there when the whole world was in outer darkness. And he said, I looked out into the void, and he saw the void, and he began to create the heavens and the earth and the waters and the skies. He said, that's who I am. Amen. And he's still who he is. He said this, I am the Lord who heals you. Now there's a scripture verse for every one of these, but I didn't want to be here until 9 o'clock. Read them all. I didn't figure you did either. It says, I am. Who? I am the Lord that heals you. Okay, if he says, I am the Lord that heals you, then to me, he is my healer. Amen. I said then to me, he is my healer. I don't have to guess about it. I don't have to question it. I don't have to think about it. When I'm sick, I know he's my healer. But you talk to people and you begin to talk to them when they're sick about trusting God and believing God for their healing. And they think you would think you were talking to them in a foreign language. And they're supposed to know God. He said, I am the Lord who healeth you. We have to know him as our healer. You know what the first thing I do when I get ready, if I have to go to a new doctor, I go online. I go online. I make sure that he's been to medical school. I make sure that he's got a degree. I make sure that he hasn't had any malpractices filed against him. I make sure that he don't have any judgments against him for being a lousy doctor or whatever. Why do I do that? Because when I go there, I want to know that he is really a doctor.
Amen.
God said, I'm your healer. The scripture backs it up. Then when we're sick, we need to go to him like we know, and we know that he is our healer, and believe him and trust him for our healing.
Yes. Amen. Praise God. Thank you.
I'm a healer. Now, I did that last year.
Amen.
When I found out something, the very best can make mistakes. The very best can make... I seen this man on Monday. This same guy on Monday. I did my research. Man, I mean, this guy's he's got credentials. Cover that whole wall there. I mean, he's got it all this education. But he made a mistake. I went to him. He did everything he said he would do and even more. And almost killed me. Almost killed me. promise you this. God is your healer, and He will not kill you. He will not do something. And when I went to see him on Monday for my 18-month checkup, and he's checking all over, and checking for hernias, because he said, now, if after you had this surgery, he said, you're going to be susceptible to hernias. I said, man, I've already had 5. I said, so I don't know how much more susceptible I can be. I said, I already got a good count on them. So he's checking all over. And then he goes, man, and he said, even where I left that sponge in you, you feel really good right there. Well, God, He says, I am the Lord that healeth you.
That's right.
Amen.
That He is your healer. God knows who He is. But do we know who God is? He said, I'm a merciful God. I am a merciful God. I look down and see your situation, and I have mercy on you. He has compassion for you. Do we understand the kind of compassion that God has for us? Then He says, then He just comes right out and says, I am the Lord. I am the Lord. Worked for a guy one time. Or I didn't work for him. He worked in the same yards I did. And he hired a guy, and I told him not to hire him. Several years earlier, he hired a guy, and the guy turned out to be his worst nightmare. So he comes in and tells me one day, I don't work for him. He comes in here, and he said to me, he said, I hired this guy. And I said, too bad. I said, you didn't learn the first time? You had to go do the same thing second time around? Well, no. I said, no. I said, why are you telling me? Well, I'm going to need you to help him along the way. I said, no. I told you not to hire him. I told you what he did when I was off with my knee surgery. I told you what he did to the equipment. I told you not to hire him. No. You're not going to help him? I said, no. I said, because you hired him at the same level that I'm at, the same job classification, I'm not going to help him do his job. Then he looks at me like he was going to scare me. He goes, well, I'm a foreman too. I said, so? I said, your white shirt don't affect me any at all. That's what I told him. I said, I don't work for you. You don't work for me. You hired him. You got him. You live with him. But I'm a foreman too, and I said, I don't care who you are. I said, as far as I'm concerned, you can get up and leave, because I'm done. Trying to impress me with who you are. God's not trying to impress you. He just tells you, I am Lord. I am God. I am everything. I am in control of this universe.
Yes.
Though things may not be looking good. If you watch the news, you probably know that. I don't watch it. Every time I come in contact with somebody, they're telling me how bad it is. And there is some stuff out there. I've been doing some research on some stuff that Brother Lenny had talked to me about. So yes, there is something. But he said, I am with you. Be not afraid. Be not afraid. Folks, we have nothing to fear but fear itself. Because God is not a God of fear. God will not put fear on you. God will not cause you to be bound by fear. Fear comes straight out of the pits of hell. It comes straight from the devil. It comes strictly from him. It does not come from any other source except Satan. And we need to realize that God said, I am with you. What is he saying? Let the devil come on. Let him come at you. I am with you. I'm standing there. I'm holding you. I'm protecting you. Don't be afraid of what Satan can do. Don't be afraid of what the devil says, but stand in authority and say, no, I know God, and God is my protector. God is my source. He is God, and He is there, and always will be, and I shall not be afraid of you, Satan.
Amen.
The devil uses every way that he can. I was down to the cancer treatment center the other day to go in to see the surgeon. I was sitting in the clinic waiting area there. This lady come in. And I see she had her new book. I tell you what, I was so impressed with this woman. She come in and she sat down. I see she had a book, and because when you go into that hospital, then they go through 3 days of orientation, 8 hours. I mean, they don't leave nothing unturned. They tell you everything. She had this book, and she's sitting there. And I just said to her, I said, "Are you new to this facility?" And she says, "Yeah." She goes, "I was told I had cancer in my colon, and the doctors immediately just run me in and started pumping me full of chemo and radiation and everything, and all of this." And she said, "I couldn't get a good answer from the doctor, so she goes, I decided to come over here." And she said, I talked to them. She said, the doctor told me, "Oh, you're going to have a colostomy bag for life," and yada, yada, yada. And she goes, "I come here, these doctors telling me different stories and things." And I said, "Well, I can't guarantee what they can tell you is true or not, but I do know this, they are good people here." And she goes, "Well, there's one thing about it." She says, "I am not afraid." Because she said, it's all in God's hands. She said, it's all in God's hands. She said, "I told my kids, don't worry about me. Don't fret over this. Don't stew over this. Don't get all upset. Just know that it's all in God's hands." And the waiting room was full of people and cancer people, and some of them you could tell were very, very sick. I was one of the very blessed to be sitting there cancer-free, but there was many there, and one man sitting across the way from her, he said, "What did you say?" She said, "It's all in God's hands." You know why? Because she knows that God is her all. She knows that whatever the devil has thrown at her, that God is in control of it. And I was so impressed, and I heard her, we began to talk, and I said, "It's all because of God." And she just began to kind of break down, and she said, I have nothing more to trust than God. You see, that's knowing who God is. God said, "I'm the one that comforts you." Yes. I'm the one that comforts you. A lot of us, well, all of us, every one of us, I will say that, in this place today, has experienced God's comfort. We've been in that place to where we felt alone. We just was torn up with emotions. Didn't know how we would make the next day, or how we would even face the next day. Some of us didn't even want to face the next day. There's times that I just felt like if I hadn't had my daughter sleeping in the next room, if I hadn't had my daughter, it wouldn't have really mattered whether I ever faced another day or not. Didn't matter. But then I would hear her crying in the next room, and I'd say, "Oh God, forgive me." Careful what you ask God for. Careful what you ask God for. But God, in His infinite mercy and His love, brought me comfort. Listen, support groups are good, but you know what I found about support groups? I've been to them. What they're good for is to walk away more depressed than you ever was when you went there. You have heard everybody's, and I don't mean that to be disrespectful, but that's what, and it's like, man, these people's been dealing with this for 2.5 years, and they're not any better than they were day one. They can't bring me any support.
That's right.
Okay, I'm just saying, you know, and but God, when I lay across my bed one night, I said, God, I can't deal anymore. I laid one night for hours on my bed and just wept and bawled and cried and said, God, I can't do this. I can't go any farther, God. What do I do? 2 days later, on a Sunday night, God spoke to me personally through a tongue interpretation. He did everything but call my name. In that interpretation, it told me everything that I had said in those hours laying on my bed 2 days before. Everything I told God. God said, you said this to me, you said this, you said this. And I mean, I'm not kidding. It is one of the most, one of the greatest nights of my life. Because when it stopped, I knew then it was now or never. And I run to the altar. I grabbed a preacher buddy of mine. I said, I gotta have help. And you know what? 45 minutes later, it was gone. I said, peace had come, and it was gone. He said, I am the Lord. I do not change. Folks, God has not changed. We wonder sometimes why. Well, God, we used to see this, and God, we used to see that, and God this, and God that, and God, did you do this? God has not changed. He said, I am the Lord thy God, and I change not. We need to get out of the attitude that God, I guess you changed the way you do things. God, I guess you don't do them like you used to do them anymore. Or God, I guess you just don't do that. But I want you to know something. God is still doing the same things that He did many years ago. I watched this deal last night of a man over in Africa, a black minister over in Africa, and he was preaching. And all of a sudden he calls this woman out of the, up. He said, is there a lady here? And there was thousands of people there. He said, is there a lady here by the name of such and such? And it never got silent, and then all of a sudden he calls her last name. She gets up and walks up there, and he began to tell her story. And I'm saying, God, if you can do this in Africa, if you can do this in 2018 in Africa, then you have not changed. You can still do it in Arizona, in our little church here. Amen. And he began to tell her, he said, you're having problems with your husband. And she just stops and she just, he said, you're crying and you're weeping. You didn't even sleep last night. And she's just standing there. And he said, the reason why you're having problems with your husband is you are barren and you cannot have children. And this woman just falls out weeping. And he begins to tell her story. And I'm thinking, God, I remember that used to happen. You haven't changed, God. I said, God, you haven't changed. And then he said, I want to tell you something else. He said, your husband's name is such and such. And she said, yeah. And said, I will tell you this. He said, first of all, there's something about your husband you should tell me. And she said, what's it? And he said, you know what it is? And she said, my husband's a pastor. And he has told me that he don't want anything to do with me because I'm barren and I must have evil spirits. Now you see, we're talking about a God of 2018 in a foreign country where they supposedly don't believe in God, where there's literally thousands of people in the audience. And he said, sis, I want you just to sit right over in that chair because your husband is in this crowd. Said he's hiding in this crowd. Said he followed you here tonight to see where you were going. And he's here. And he called the man's name and he said, sir, you need to stand up and come out. You need to stand up and come out. And he said, I'm going to walk through this place until God shows me who you are. It's a huge auditorium, man. It was like walking through the stadium down here. And he's walking up and down the aisles. And he said, sir, you're wearing black shoes, brown trousers, and a black sports shirt says Puma on it that has a cat on it and got white stripes down the side. I will find you. And he just kept walking. And he's walking through this big auditorium. And you could hear people praying in tongues all over the place. I mean, it was old time Pentecost they were having. I mean, it was of God. I mean, you could tell that they knew who God was. And he's walking along there. And he just walks up and he said, sir, get up out of that chair. He said, you're going with me. The man stood up. And he was dressed exactly right down to the T the way he was described. He said, you're going with me. Took him back down to the front of that big auditorium and he said, I'm going to tell you something. It's what you're doing to your wife is wrong. He said, you're a pastor of a church. You of all people should know better than that. And I rebuke you for that spirit. Why are you treating your wife like this? And he said, but sir, everything you said has been true. How did you know? He said, because God knows. What am I saying? And he said, I will tell you this. A year from now, when you come back to our next crusade, you will have twin boys. What are you saying? What I'm saying is this. God doesn't change. That same God that used to be able to call people out and speak to them is still alive today. He's still the same God. And we need to understand that. I was sitting in church. My dad had taken a leave of absence from his church, just a short sabbatical one time. And he had Brother Murphy pastor in his church. And went to church one night. My mom called me. She goes, you need to come over here. The church is on fire. And the church was ablaze. It was up church. I get over there, and we're there, and man, they're fighting this fire and fighting it and fighting it. And, I mean, they fought it for like 8 hours to get it out. And it only took out the front half of the church. But the guy next door had about 2,000 old car tires piled there, and they were burning. Anyway, this guy shows up at church, and he goes, oh, I was supposed to preach tonight. I said, well, there's parking lot. Because they ain't going to be preaching in the church, you know. But I went over to, a week later, went over to Brother Clarence Norman's church on 28th Avenue, south of Buckeye Road. He had an evangelist there. This old fellow was preaching. While this guy's preaching, this guy was supposed to preach at my dad's church is sitting down the row from me, my mom and dad, and my wife. I looked down there, and I punched my mom. I said, Brother William is smoking. She looks down there and she said, no, he's not. Yes, he is. No, he's not. Stop it. And so we sat there for a little while, and I looked back down there, and I said, Mom, he's smoking again. No, he's not. Stop that. That's not nice. I said, Mama, he's smoking. No, he's not. Stop it. So I sat there for a little while longer. I looked down. Mom, she says, I'm not even going to look. Stop it. Just stop it. I said, Mom, he's smoking. No, he's not. Yes, he is. No, he's not. Stop it. That's because I'm going to make you get up and move if you don't stop. And I just sat there. And I'm going, I know what I saw. And right in the middle of the sermon, this old fellow, 80 years old, was preaching. He stopped. And he said, Sir, you're sitting here. And you're professing to be a Pentecostal, Spirit-filled preacher. And you smoke one cigarette right after another. And you expect God to use you. And if you're mad enough to do it, I want you to get up and walk up here. And who got up and walked up there? But that man. My mom looked at me and she said, he really wasn't, but God was showing you something. That's the God that I want to see alive again. Not to call people out and things like that, but to be able to see things revealed in their lives where they can be touched and changed in the services. And that's the God that he says, I am. I am the God that changeth not.
Amen.
Amen.
And I've been praying. I've been praying this past 3 or 4 weeks. I've been saying, God, help me. He says, I am the bread of life. I am the light of the world. I'm the good shepherd. I'm the resurrection. I'm the way. I am the Alpha and Omega. God is everything to us. I guess. Sister Brother, repeat the schedule again, please. Good God. Seems like God gives me these kind of messages when I'm going through my hardest times. The last 4 weeks, it's just been tough. That's all I'm going to say. And I'm just trying to figure out, God, how am I going to get out of this situation? And he gives me something like this. He may be speaking to my heart more than he's speaking to anybody else's. But I know that God is the great I am. And I know that whatever you're going through, my God is greater than that. And I know whatever hurt has come your way, that God is greater than the hurt. He's greater than the pain. He's richer than the financial battle that you're fighting. So he's greater than your illness. He says, I am. As I begin to study that this week, I couldn't even hardly wrap my mind couldn't even hardly wrap my mind around it. I would say, God, I know you are. I know you are. I know you are. But I think sometimes he does things just for me, just to really get my attention. I know who God is. But I know there's times when the devil will try to cause us to question. Maybe you don't. Well, I hope you don't. But sometimes I just have to. I don't have to, but sometimes I just question God. Where are you? God, where are you? You know where he's at? He's right there. When we turn that from where are you to I know where you are, God. And I bring this to you, God. Just stand with me this morning. God is a good God. He's a gracious God. He's everything we'll ever need. And if you're here this morning and you're going through something, I want you to know something. God's got the answer. God change that. God is the answer. I said, God is the answer. What is God to you? Is he your financial advisor? Is he your marriage counselor? Is he your family counselor? Is he your healer? Is he your pacemaker? Is he your peacemaker? If you're here this morning and you need something from God, we're going to let him know that we know who he is. I said we're going to let him know that we know who he is. If you need God, if you need something this morning, I want you to come. We're going to pray for you and pray with you. He said, I am the Lord thy God. I change not. He looked down one day and he saw your sinful soul. He says, I love you. And he forgave you. He's the same God today. He's the same God. Anybody need prayer this morning?
Hallelujah, hallelujah,
God is still God. Father, God, in the name of Jesus, God, we love you, God. God, we love you. God, we love you, Lord. God, we love God,
Yetali Taya Shatale Talabano Kole. Yetali Taya Shakaya Tali Talani. Yesay, Yetai. Li Talia Sai. Lalo Kolo Kole Nese. Yesatai Li Taya Shatali. He Kiesay, Yesay. Li Tali Kaya Satai. Yataya Shokoko Nese. Li Yesai Li Talia Satai. Oh, yes, I need Shadalia. He can't hide. He is saying, he has Yataya Shokohole, nasty. Glory, hallelujah to Jesus. Oh, yes, I need to. Glory, hallelujah to Jesus. Oh, yes, I need to.
My people, have I not given you the signs? Have I not shown you that my time is here and you need to do my work? Have I not told you my promises? Have I not kept my promises and my word and what I will do? Have I not shown you that I walk with you? Have I not shown you that I will take care of your needs, of your sicknesses? I am the Almighty. I am there. I will always be there. I am the beginning and I am the end. My time is short. My time is near. Reach out to me. Do as I have shown you and do as I have given you the words to do.
Jesus, if you need something from God, He's still here. He's still here. He said, I'm not only a my God, but I am here. He said, I'm here. I'm here. I'm giving you a personal visitation today that I am here. Jesus. Medication will buy you peace as long as you take it on a regular basis. But it's all false. It's all a false peace. Because once the alcohol is done, you got a headache to deal with. Once the high is gone, then you got all the after effects, the tweaking and all that goes with it. And when the medication from the doctor wears off, you fall into a deep depression. But Jesus said, I give you peace that passes all understanding. God gives the peace that passeth all understanding. God gives that peace that when you don't have a dime in the bank, you can lay your head on a pillow and go to sleep. That's the peace that God gives. I've experienced that peace. I've been on the other end of it, not with the drugs and alcohol and medications, but I've been on the other end of it where there was no peace. It's not fun. But He said, I give you peace. I am the great I am. You know what He said this morning? I am has come. I am has come to see my people and to visit with them. I thank God. I love God. I appreciate Him for all that He's done. I'll be back tonight. We're going to come back tonight. And this is a very, very good movie. Pilgrim's Progress. I'm not a big movie person. I don't go to the movies. Maybe once in a blue moon I'll go see a movie. I'll find one on TV that looks like it might be good, and I'll turn it off and I'm out in the garage. I just don't watch movies, but I did watch this. This is very good. And let me tell you, if you know somebody that's kind of wandering a crooked path, they need to see this movie. Now, I didn't know this, but Sister Norma told me that the man that wrote this movie, I don't know. No, he wrote the New Amplified Version. She met this man, and she has his autograph. And this is a very good movie, so be here tonight. It will show you just how easy it is for Satan to sidetrack you. He don't come in with a big light show. The devil don't come in with a big light show. No, he comes in, and next thing you know, he returns. So be back tonight, 6 o'clock. I want to say we're glad for each one that's here this morning. Glad to have Dave with us. Well, we pray one for another. And earnestly, I ask you to earnestly pray that God will begin to do the things once again, not just through me, but through others, that God used to do. We used to see things and be able to identify things, and be able to speak things, be able to know things that only God could tell us. I want to see that operational happening in our church. All right, Brother McGarity, it's so good to see you this morning. Would you dismiss us in prayer?